Sweet. So I kind of color coded this, but I'm gonna like just tackle the left side and that's it for now. So right now, as a like a teaching org, we have this place at Mooncrest to always be able to fall back on. And that's something that's actually really nice. So we always have this little gem there that we can always fall back on. And then right now we have a bunch of platforms that we can use. And although like our current presence is really small, there's a lot of potential that we can work for and just expand through our current platforms. Sadly, we still have no funding. And this is like a lot of is my fault because when I applied to Fuel, we ended up getting rejected, which is really sad. And then that whole little thing got me really discouraged and looking for more. But we hopefully should be able to find it. And then the nice thing is we have a whole semester to just figure this out and then uh, attract funding, get more teaching places, build more slides. So we have a bunch of time to attack this again. That's sort of where we're at now. Does anybody want to like add something? You can read the right side stuff if you want, but does anybody have anything that they want to add to where we're at? No, all right.
I'm actually, I can add something very quickly. So
Yeah, go
I
for it.
think, really the biggest event where we left off from, I think the two biggest events were the classes that we had at Mooncrest over the summer, and also just the creation of the curriculum too. I think, that is the phase that we're at right now. So I think, the question is like, what do we want to do with our contacts at Mooncrest? What do we want to do with the curriculum we have? I think, those are those are some good questions we can ask ourselves as we head into like a new year, a new semester, etc.
Yeah, definitely. So those two things kind of lead into the next slide, which is like what sort of work can we do now to like over this school year to really help us grow? And sort of these three things that we came up with last time kind of stand out again. And that's just splitting up our task into one, acquiring and thinking about where to put funding, the outreach, which is currently like the biggest thing, and then social media. You know, that's always been a struggle for us. And so, and then obviously like we've contemplated where do we put Zach and just potentially having a free roamer in different areas, but this was sort of the initial like my initial idea of what the work will look like this semester. So this is like a feedback slide. I know Mila had to something to share about social media here, if you want to add about that.
Um, I mean, I kind of just said something that we've been talking about for a while, which is that we need sort of a fresh start, I think, in terms of our social media outreach, because most effective organizations, especially on Instagram, have like a theme to their posts, like just something constant. And all of our posts, like first of all, like they're not really planned or like timed, you know what I mean? Like we don't post regularly, but all of our posts are also really different. So I think if we started being more consistent and having content that people could like recognize as our own content, that would be good.
Yeah, we have a whole like I think it was on my OneNotes. We planned out a bunch of ideas like potentially taking tidbits from our slides and showcasing that. Like that could be super interesting to do monthly or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, so does anybody have any comments on like these three areas? Do we enjoy having these three? And then with these slides too, I was thinking if every single week we can have like this sort of overarching slide be created and then have like another slide be the work that was done by each team slash group of people um in here, and then the next slide being like something we can work on during the meeting, what's getting done next time. Like it's pretty self-explanatory, and then every single meeting we can just have like 7 slides slash, you know, around this sort of the amount of buckets here. That could be interesting. But yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of the first slide, especially because I feel like it's a good summary of like last meeting and also just focusing on like our goals in the long term. So I think that's cool.
Like this one?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So I'm hearing nothing about this organization.
Yeah,
What is-
I can actually, I think, you know, those 3, you know, categories that we have, I think is a great way to start up the team. I think start up, you know, trying to add some people and, you know, start up some endeavors we want to do within, like within each of those categories. I think, you know, why I believe that social media has always been a challenge for us is partially because I feel like we need to have a little bit, we need to have like more activity going on in like the funding and outreach areas before we can like, you know, utilize social media to like express those ideas, express those developments that are going on. So I think, you know, one thing that I would want to maybe question on that is that, would we predominantly be focusing on funding and outreach so that we can get ourselves together on those 2 categories and then focus on social media? Or are we going to try to tackle all 3 of those categories at once?
That's a really good point with the funding and out. I haven't thought about that before. I'm curious what others think about tackling, because we've actually had this debate before, right? Of saying, are we taking on too much? Do we want to prioritize this over that? We've had that debate before. And I think whenever we tackled like the one big thing, which was getting the slides ready, especially for Mooncrest, we all ended up focusing on that. And then we kind of highlighted through that conversation having value in doing like an all-in-one approach, because we could do it all fast, everybody's engaged. But then with the side-by-side approach, like people have more freedom and choice doing what they do. And then I think we came up with a team idea just because, you know, like we all work better whenever there's someone else keeping us accountable and sharing ideas with each other. So I'm curious if that sort of sentiment will apply if we sort of group funding and outreach differently from social media. I basically just reframed Aditya's kind of question of, should we just focus on these 2 and then do this later in a very, very around the bush way?
I think that we can do all of them at the same time. I feel like social media is something that can be done relatively easily. I think that making posts and just like, especially informational content, like not like, oh, what are we as an organization doing, but like, oh, depending on our mission, like if we're focusing on like public health or something, then give some like facts about public health. And although that may not be like pertaining to our organization as much, it's still like related and we're still getting content out there. So I don't think it would be necessary maybe to push that off completely, especially when we can like have a smaller presence and then like throw in some like important posts about what we're doing along the way. But I don't know. I see both sides.
I think, you know, Mila, you brought us some really important points. And I think, you know, one thing that we can ask ourselves is that what do we really define exactly by the role that social media is playing? Because in a way, there are going to be some intertwining aspects between funding, outreach, and social media, because essentially, in a way, for you to mass mass market some of the funding that we need or outreach programs to other schools, you essentially do need social media for that. So, I think the question is, what do we define as the role of like what social media is going to do in this context?
I think we have a lot of like overlap between all of these, but in this case, this is really just like there's so much overlap with all of these because none of these things are actually just one things for a nonprofit. So this right now is just going to be producing content that will showcase to others and hopefully like attract them to interact with us and utilize our resources just to showcase that we are present. And that does like a bunch of things like that'll help with outreach, that'll help with getting more like care for them people, that'll help with showing people, hey, we're useful here. This is more like the action of, hey, let's go and send these people an email who actually don't know about us, and we can utilize our social media presence. We can utilize showing tidbits of our slides, showing them our website that has our Mooncrest thing. So I think right for now, this is like pretty simple, as in let's just post some things like educationally or what we're doing just to keep people engaged.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that does. Thank you.
Okay, so far, just to sum this up, we have one idea that it is possible because we have one person like supporting that it is possible. This should be pretty simple to get done along with these two. Any other ideas on this note? And we can change like these three areas too, because right now, like as you can see, none of these really focus on like perfecting what we have in slides and like none of the upgrading stuff. So we can think about that too.
I think at the stage I would agree with the points that Mila brought up is we could potentially try to do all three categories at once. I think for social media, like if we were trying to delegate this to our team members or other individuals, I feel like we don't really necessarily need an entire other category for social media. I kind of feel like it's already going to be innately intertwined with funding and outreach already, at least at the moment where we are right now. I think once we get a little bit of a hold of that, then we can totally try to have like a social media person on the team, and they would be regularly updating Instagram feeds, stuff like that, or educational stuff. But potentially at the moment, I think I'm in favor of trying to just intertwine social media with funding and outreach.
I see like where you're coming from, but I also and I agree that we should prioritize funding and outreach, but I feel like one issue that could come up if we just kind of like say social media will be intertwined is we're probably going to end up like not posting, because maybe having one person who's like accountable for posting something like every week would be more effective, because then we actually like get something out there versus like, oh, like, we'll just involve it somehow, may end up with us like not doing anything at all, because I think that's the approach that we've taken in the past. And like, that's kind of where we are now. So
I'm kind of also in favor of just having one separate team, because it's just one of those things where it's really easy and we say we're going to do it, but then when it comes down to the time to post, we just kind of forget about it / are just too lazy to do it. So I personally do not want to be accountable for this as well. But yeah, I do kind of like I see potentially we could combine these two. But in my opinion, like I would want someone else to do this.
Josh, what do you think?
I'm just listening for now, but yeah, I do agree with what Jeremy just said.
Okay, so I think, I think the concerns that, Jeremy and Mila brought up are definitely very valid, because I think we have definitely seen that, within the last year of us operating as a team. And I think the idea that we're kind of coming in a little bit of consensus with is, do we want to have like an individual be accountable for posting, every other day, every week, just to make sure that, we're doing something rather than nothing for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I also think that it doesn't have to be totally an individual. Like have one person make the posts, and then like run it by somebody else on the team, and be like, hey, like, does this look good to you? What do you think about this content? Because then everyone can sort of be on the same page about what we're posting. And then that also puts a little bit less pressure on the person, because like, let's say they post something and then the rest of the team's like, oh, I didn't think that was good. We can have one person who like makes the posts and then just like focuses on that and then like shares it and then posts it. I don't know. Do you like that process?
Yeah, I feel like
Potentially like, oh, sorry, go
for it.
ahead, Jeremy.
Now you go.
I was just gonna say like potentially like someone who I think what you were trying to mean by having someone make the post, like somebody design it. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that works out pretty well.
Yeah, I like that a ton too, because also last year we kind of thought we wanted to like emphasize the point of, even though you're part of this and you're thinking about doing like outreach, like we need to encourage more of us reaching out to other people on our team to also do stuff. Because I think right now, even though it's kind of we all say it and we're all comfortable saying it, but we're not comfortable yet to actually say, hey, could you do this for me, and can you just like spend an hour on this, and like it would be a totally separate task to what they're supposed to be doing for their own team. But say like I'm on outreach and I'm currently sending out like 4 emails to 4 different places. If I can just delegate that work to like someone else on some other team, that would be super helpful. Knowing that like I'm comfortable doing it because they're also comfortable if they're on funding or they're working on these grants and having like a ton on their plate, they can say, hey, can you help me out with this grant? And so we go back and forth on that. Like I really want this horizontal thing, the horizontal like helping out to be a part of all these teams. So I think this having like somebody run social media and having and encouraging them to reach out for help and to delegate their tasks is super helpful. Yeah, that's just me being passionate about the like I really want these teams to work separately or to think separately but work together, if that makes sense.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
I think that's a very interesting way to put it.
All right. The last step to this stupid slide is, do we want to like place ourselves within each of these?
I think, do you want to do that right now, or do you want to like wait for a time where we can get everyone in, so that like no single category is necessarily, like dibs on first, or you see what I mean?
I see what you mean. We had we were put into these categories before.
Yeah.
So we have this. I just wanted to see like, do we have one for each in this small group, or are we all interested in like, you know, the same thing? Like just based off of interest, do y'all want to annotate the screen and then just, I don't know, circle or put a tally under which one that you can do like this semester? Like which one of these areas would you want to do this semester?
I think, actually, let me think about this for like 30 more seconds. Hold on.
How do you like draw a line?
You gotta click on annotate and then go to the draw, like it says draw, and then
Where's annotate?
move your mouse around. It should be like either on the top or the bottom.
Oh.
Or you can just tell me what you want and then I'll draw a line if you can't figure it out.
I think
Yo,
outreach.
we used to be pros at this. You remember like just
Yeah.
doing everything? We used to be pros at this.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
would, I wouldn't mind doing something involving social media.
Yeah, I can be an outreach and I can maybe help Mila whenever she needs it. So Mila, you can tell me what to do.
Drawing this really creepy smiley.
I'm happy to do outreach too. And of course, like help either Jeremy with funding or Neil and Josh with social media.
Sweet. All right. That's very productive then. Yeah, and you know, this horizontal thing, I'm gonna put this down because I really believe in it. I'm gonna call it horizontal communication.
Neat. Okay.
Do we all know what that means?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, please do this. So the next slide. All right, this is the part where you know we need, so I think we need some work on, because this is the part that the what's it called, the fuel program rejected us on, because this mission, although it sounds really nice, it's really hard to like see the actual impact and measure it.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like we can't prove, it's very difficult to prove if we've done this, or it's very difficult just to show that we are working towards this, that we are doing this.
I think just to make, I think, are they asking for a little bit more specificity? I think, you know, what's maybe written here is really broad. I think there's a lot of different ways you can navigate it. And I think it ties in with the fact that like it's hard to see a outcome out of it. So did they mean by like include more specificity, like what exactly we are going to do to like, you know, encourage the conversation between students and topics in human health?
So they actually didn't mention, they just said we had a really strong mission, but you know, it was really difficult to see our actual impact. So when I was making my pitch, they kind of grilled me on, do you have any, like, I forget the actual wording, but they were pretty much asking like, how do you know these students like actually got something like valuable out of you guys going, making these slides, teaching them? Like, how do you actually know that something happened?
Interesting.
Right. And so this was sort of my idea on maybe we can revise this mission, or if we can like create, like I know a lot of like even Swickly has it where like we have a mission and then we define like the things we do and how they relate to the mission, and then we'll just showcase that we are doing these things instead of always looping it back to this. So we can do it that way. Like we have these three, and then we can list some tasks under these three, and then every single time we do one of these tasks, we don't have to loop it back to the mission anymore, and we can just loop it back to these three things. That works as well. But another way to go with it is just revise this whole thing and then make our mission very simple. And so everything that we do, because we're a pretty simple organization, like so far, we can just keep looping it back to this. So there's multiple ways of doing this.
Jeremy, I have a question.
Yeah.
So you were trying to apply to Fuel, right?
Yeah.
Is a Fuel like Hopkins's like startup accelerator or something like that?
Yeah. We have the two, right? We have the thing that we got in last year, Spark, and then Fuel. So the
Oh, okay.
difference, and my friend was also telling me about this. So Spark, they're both startup accelerators.
Mhm.
For us, we are kind of different. So us using Spark, like after reading about Spark, it was nice to have a good overview on how normally you go from like idea to actually doing something.
Yeah.
But it definitely isn't the most relevant because they're very product based and ours is sort of like an idea based
Yeah.
service.
Hmm.
So that part of it is like, I'm not sure. This is just like me being mad about not getting in the Fuel, but I'm not sure how they could help us
Yeah.
that much because Spark was only, that helpful. But the thing that's interesting about Fuel is just it has a really good way of getting us initial funding because all these organizations that get into Fuel, I think they end up with 2,000 or some
Mhm.
sort of budget that they can request. So it might be worth it to try it again. I'm always down to try it again because it is just another 2,000 that you can add to your own budget.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Okay.
all about like how can we, like the biggest thing that they kind of said was how can we prove what we're doing actually works.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I looked at a mission statement just now for like inspiration for like this really successful organization. And something that like they started with a pretty broad idea like we did. But at the end of their statement, they said like two, like why are they doing this in order for students to do what? And then you could sort of measure the impact by seeing if students are doing that or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So is it pretty much like why are we doing this as a personal statement? And then do they have these like categories or like lists of types of things that they do?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Here. I'm looking at Outreach 360, which is like a language teaching organization. The mission of Outreach 360 is to provide opportunities to orphaned, abandoned, and disadvantaged children to strengthen and maintain ties with the organization. While there, we will go to public school classes twice daily to teach English to disadvantaged children. So that's like kind of part of their mission.
Gotcha. Is that like do you want to share your screen? Is that like in the little text underneath a mission, or is that like a whole?
It's just what I found out. I can't share my screen, but I can send you a link. And it's just what came up when I Googled it. Made up
Got
a Bible, but yes.
I think trying to include like, so, we have the broad claim, and then trying to include like how we're going to do it, and then try to list out, some ways how we can measure that outcome. I think those were the three things that Mila was trying to say. I if I'm correct, right?
Yeah. So I feel like we need a how and then a why, and then the why will be our way to measure it.
Got it. So we're treating, so like the sort of feedback that we got was it's not measurable. Do we still, we're gonna attack that problem straight on, right? We're gonna put on the how, why, and then the list of things that we do, like these things, and make it very evident like what we do underneath a broad mission statement. Do we want to keep this mission statement then, and then just add in like more specificity after that and explain the how and why and like so like what actually is care for them part?
Yeah, I'm honestly down for that. I think that's, looking at what what other people have used as mission statements, as well as, some of the feedback that you garnered like the fuel like officers. I think that might be the best way to go. Just to leave this what we have and then just expand upon it.
Okay, that definitely works. I'm cool with that. So adding these two. How do we want to do this? Shall we, I can draft up like a couple more statements of this and then send it in Slack for review. Does that work?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, we can like edit it from there. I think that
Yeah.
would be cool.
All right. Cool. Okay, so this is, I'll add this is a slide for stuff that we kind of type in ahead of time, and then during the meeting we can also add to it. Does that make sense? Like ahead of time, I'm gonna put on here, I'm gonna make the slides for next time before this meeting. And those slides are right here. They're all in, by the way, they're all in the Google Drive right here. You go to, this is our Care for Them account, and then you go to administration and weekly meetings, and they're all going to be right here. So that way, like these slides, you can click on them. They're kind of set up to where you can format them. You can add your own slides if you want. But yeah, that's just like meeting organization stuff. But here, like I'm gonna add to my list, like draft more to the mission statement and send to Slack for replies. So I'm just gonna add that, and then now I know, and other people know this is what I'm gonna do. And then they also know, if you read the slides ahead of time before the meeting, that I'm gonna do this as well. And then you can like comment if you want.
Gotcha.
All right, cool. And then this is the last part of the slides. You can have like, we'll have a random slide at the very end that we can like just have some fun with. So this is how was this meeting format is the planned out thing that I wanted to ask. Like, do we enjoy slides coming in? If you want to get, I'll be here at the meeting room, maybe not 15 minutes earlier, but at least 10 or at least 5. And so we can like do these activities and then have like a summary slide going into what each team is doing, and then go into like something that we can kind of do during the meeting. And then what's getting done next time, and then finally having a random bucket. Do we like this sort of meeting format?
I do. Yeah, I think it's really well thought out.
Milo, you got to use the Zoom reactions. That was,
Yeah.
sorry, I should have made that clear. Yeah.
I second Mila. I think it was very organized. It wasn't like too much thrown at us, but I think at the same time we were able to achieve a level of productivity. Like thought sharing, ideas were flowing. Participation was pretty good. So yeah, I think it's good how it is. And I honestly, I think I'm kind of down to like, instead of you like Jeremy hosting every single meeting, like what we tried to do during winter time last year is like have each person try to host a meeting, like plan it out and lead it. I think it will help everyone stay engaged, take the role, and also just have that level of accountability that we want to see in the team.
Yeah, definitely. And then just to also add, like we're all gonna edit these slides as well. But yeah, I can make a schedule again and then make sure everybody, there's not too much in leading these, but have everybody, I guess, make these slides. Because we're all going to be editing. I want like all of us to add to this slide, this slide, this slide, and this slide if needed. So these 3 slides, just coming up with a title, doing this, and this, and maybe just spearheading the meeting. That would be the stuff that everybody would rotate around. But yeah, that's a good feedback. Josh, you had your hand raised. Was that like you're gonna share your
No, that was
feedback,
by
or-
accident. I didn't try to do that. I didn't do that on
Okay.
purpose. Yeah.
By the way, I can't find the Zoom reactions for some reason.
What do you mean by Zoom reactions? Like, do I have to raise my hand?
Like this.
No, like, weren't there reactions before? Do you
Like
guys
those,
remember that?
like those funny things, right? Yeah.
No,
You see-
I thought,
Yeah.
I thought when you said I have to use a Zoom reactions, I saw Josh's hand and I was like, we're doing hand raising? Okay.
Oh, no. I can't find it though.
Can you see mine?
Yeah, I can see yours. I can't
Did
find mine though.
Was it like phased out in a update? I'm not sure.
I
I don't
can-
know.
Honestly, dude, I haven't used Zoom in forever, actually. I don't think I've used it. I think the last time I used Zoom was probably for our last Care for the meeting, most likely.
It's been a while.
Man, I mean, that was like life last year, like online virtual school.
Are we done
Uh,
recording?
Yeah.
I have one more thing that I want to get through, which is just scheduling. Like,
Okay.
yeah, when I don't have my full on schedule for next semester, but I have like, I kind of know what's going on. But what times work for you guys?
I would honestly say for me personally, I would prefer to do something on the weekend just because I do have, like, as of now, I don't have, like, I know I have research. I have 18 credits next semester, but I also have like research stuff to work on for about 10 hours a week that I need to commit Mondays through Fridays. So I think it might be, I would prefer the weekends, but if we all want to do something on the weekdays, we can figure something out with that. I will need to get back to you if you were to do something on the weekdays. So
Yeah. For me, well, all my meetings are on Sunday, so I think Sunday would be nice for me, but everything's up in the air as of right now because I don't know what, like, my schedule's still not finalized, and I don't know like half of my commitments for next semester yet. So I'll probably get back to you later for sure.
It's pretty unhelpful so far.
Yeah.
Um, I can do weekends. I can also do weeknights anytime like 7 and later, except for Thursdays. So I'm basically
Yeah.
able to do anything.
I also have a time difference, so
oh right, 3 hours, right?
That's
yeah.
unfortunate.
3 hours.
So yeah.
So yeah, Jeremy, what do you think? I remember, I don't know if my memory is just tripping up on me, but I feel like you mentioned that you wanted to try to avoid doing meetings on weekends. Like
Oh,
how do
okay.
you feel about that?
Yeah, it's okay to have optional things on weekends, but I'd still want to avoid having mandatory things on weekends.
Well,
I think what we could do, and we kind of like played around with it last year, and that was having 2 times, like a work period and then a weekend, but a meeting and then a work period, but then the work period was like very, very optional, like very optional. So I think that could work, as in, because we have, okay, so the reason why I wanted to do the slides is because I'm gonna pray that this is engaging enough for us all to read, and if we're not here at a meeting, it's good to look at and people will get a sort of understanding of what we talked about. That's the hope, right? That's the hope that because our schedules are getting more and more messed up, that we can all fall back onto this. So
Gotcha.
if it works, then having one meeting and then having another period where people can update each other, and hopefully like we all chose different things here. Hopefully there's more people that want to do each of these, and like one of us will attend the meeting and then the others will like update each other. That could work too. Yeah, but I want to give everybody like their weekend, right? So I feel like nothing mandatory should happen on weekends.
Yeah, I feel.
I think that's fair. Just regarding my schedule on weekdays, I let me go and ask my PI to see what time she wants me to come in, because those times can change every now and then, and there is definitely a level of flexibility with that, with regards to classes and other stuff outside of that. So I will ask her and get back to you, but I think the consensus that we're seeing is we want to try to have those main meetings on weekdays, preferably weeknights, correct?
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
and not Thursday or Wednesday, which or
Okay.
it
All right.
depends on the time for Wednesday, but
I
Yeah.
think as of right now, my good days are Tuesdays and Thursdays. So since you said no to Thursdays, I think Tuesday would be the best day for me. But yet again, I'm not too sure because I also have to like take account the time difference and if I have a class when it's like late for you guys. So
okay, so
yeah.
that's okay. That's okay. What about next meeting? Do we want, because you guys aren't at school, right? Are you
No,
guys
I'm here.
starting school?
I'm here for another 2 weeks.
I'm actually doing online school next week, but because like our break ends on the 10th, but because of COVID situation, like in Cleveland, they decided to make us do 2 weeks online. So I will be online. But I'm still gonna be like, doing schoolwork and all that.
Gotcha. So would next Monday at this same time work? This is kind of late, but
Next Monday, 9:45.
It should
I think
be fine for me.
It should work for me too. Yeah. I mean, it's like the first day I'm coming back to classes. Probably it's like syllabus day. So, I mean, nothing too much to worry about.
gotcha. Sweet. Let's do that then. All right. Well, I hope your brother feels better, Josh, and
Oh,
that
yeah.
all of you guys stay safe.
Thank you.
Yeah. Stay safe. Get boosted too if you haven't gotten
Yeah.
boosted. And yeah.
Yep.